I am Vaishali Rastogi, Assistant Professor at Department of Computer Science Engineering at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. So welcome in today's session. Today I am going to discuss about operating system types and structures. Structure is basically we are talking about kernels, and we have earlier learned about the operating system classification and what is operating system. So now let's continue what we are focusing in operating system types. Again, sorry for the delay for today time, and if you have any query, you can also use the chat box to interact with me. Anytime you can ask any question, I'll try to give you answers on the time. So let's start. Okay, so first of all, I'm talking about the types of operating system. Earlier we have learned about the classification of operating system, which were nothing about like batch operating system, real time operating system, embedded and so on. But in today's session I am talking about the types in real life what we are using. So here you can see that so many symbols are mentioned on screen. You already are familiar with Android, Windows, Ubuntu and so on. But I should explain you first what a category we can take them in under. So first is basically a desktop class. We have three categories. First is desktop class, second one is server class, and third one is mobile class. So first, if I talk about the desktop class, I have example of desktop class as Windows operating X and Unix, Linux, Chrome operating system. In server class, I have examples like Windows Server, Mac OS X Server, Unix and Linux. Again, in third option, I am going to tell you about the mobile class. So we have a good example in mobile class: Android, iOS and Windows iPhone. We are already familiar with these kind of operating system in our mobile phone, but here we are having all classes and we have to learn about them in depth. So first I'll start with the desktop class operating system. Before knowing the desktop class operating system, we should know what kind of platform we are using for this. What is platform? Platform is nothing but a hardware required to run a particular operating system. Like Intel platform, if we are talking about Intel platform, we have Windows, DOS, Unix, Linux. And if I talk about Macintosh platform, we have Mac OS. If I talk about iPad and iPhone platform, you all know about the iOS. So Macintosh, iPad, iPhone and Intel platform, these are the basic platform where we all we all use the operating system. So next, first we talk about the Mac operating system. You can see on the screen that there is a small diagram about a dummy view of Mac DOS prompt, how Mac DOS prompt looks like. So what is MS-DOS? What is MS-DOS? Basically, it's a single user, single tasking operating system. It had no built-in support for networking and user had to manually install drivers anytime they added a new hardware component to their PC. DOS supports only 16-bit programs. Okay, how many bits? Only 16 bits programs. And it is also, you can see over here, command line interface. It is showing what kind of interface? Command line interface. In our previous video, we have seen what is command line interface. Again, we can say why we are using DOS still. So we have two reasons, that one is the size and another one is the simplicity. Size and simplicity are the two features for using these DOS in use. Okay, so it also have one more benefit, that it does not require a powerful computer. So let's move forward towards next. So in this screen, can you tell me that what kind of window you are able to see right now? You can write in chat box. I am waiting for your answers. This is screen. Have you seen before? Anywhere? Try to recognize. I am waiting for your comments. Okay, so you all are using, maybe someone is not using this window right now. It is nothing but a Windows 10 overview. Okay, so you all are having this kind of view on your desktop, and you know how this platform works, what kind of representation is showing. But I just want to recall my previous video, that how we use this what we call this kind of platform. So we call this kind of platform is nothing but the GUI. Please tell me the full form of GUI. What is the full form of GUI? Anyone? What kind of interface you are having here? Anyone? Earlier we have seen command line interface, and this is basically nothing but the GUI graph. Yes, Abhay, yes, Rijwan, Shivam Garg, Anubhav, Rawat. Yeah, right answer, graphical user interface. So this is nothing but a graphical user interface, the graphical Microsoft operating system designed for Intel platform desktop and notebook computers. Best known, greatest selection of application available. Current edition includes Windows 7, 8 and 8.1 and 10. So what we have seen in our generation, 7, 8, 8.1, and currently we are using 10 and 11 also. Some people are using 11 too. So this is all about the Microsoft Windows platform. Next we are having Mac operating system. What is Mac operating system? You can see on the screen that you have a simple dummy structure of Mac operating system. So some people are having the iOS laptop, they are familiar with this kind of environment. I want to tell you about why we are using Mac OS in our operating system, why people are not using Windows and other applications. They are preferring Mac operating system because it is user friendly, runs on Mac hardware. Many applications we are having on this kind of platform. Current edition includes Sierra, High Sierra, Mozab, Catalina and so on. So this is a simple dummy structure of Mac operating system. So next we are having Linux operating system. You can see on screen there is a small dummy photo of how Linux system looks like. So Linux is nothing but an operating system which is open source, cross platform. What is open source and cross platform? As well as this is the system that runs on desktop, notebooks, tablets and smartphones too. The name Linux is a combination of Linus word. Linus is the first name of the first developer. Users are free to modify the code here. User also can improve it and redistribute it. Nowadays developers are not allowed to charge money for the Linux kernel itself, the main part of the operating system, but they can charge money for distribution. They are not asking money for the developing side, but they can charge in future for distribution of this Linux operating system. So move towards the next. We are talking about server operating system. What is server operating system? We have three categories over here. First is Windows Server, second one is Unix, and third one is Linux. We are having three category over here. First I am talking about Windows Server. Windows Server is familiar GUI interface for those experienced with Windows. Unix is basically very mature server capabilities. It also having time tested work platform. It is also having larger user community, and it is also stable in very high platform performance. Next we are having Linux. Linux is based first of all, Linux is free, it is customizable. Many services we are having in Linux, and also we are having so many utilities available. So this is all about the server operating system and their categories. So let's move forward to the next topic. This is tablet and phone operating system. So tablet and phone operating system, we are also having so many mobile phones and tablets, and we are having some kind of operating system over there. What happens when I want to install any kind of application on my Android mobile phone or tablet, or any iOS if I want to install any kind of operating system on my iOS server. So what kind of platform I will use for it? If I want to install any application in my Android mobile phone or iOS mobile phone, how I can install? From which background? Can you tell me? You are on known with the iOS, Android, Windows Phone 7 and BlackBerry. These are the basic operating system which we are having in our tablet and phone, and BlackBerry is very earlier we used to worked on that, but nowadays, yeah, APK files. Shantanu Shirohi is saying APK file. Anyone else? Yeah, Vinav Kumar. Okay. Play Store. Anyone else? Students, you are using a mobile phones. So how you install your any application in your phone? I am asking from iOS users, how they install? Divyansh, I am asking how I can install any application in my mobile phone or tablet if I am using Android mobile or okay. Play Store one was the right answer. I am also looking for an answer from iOS device. Anyone having any kind of app store for yeah, Play Store? Yeah, it's good answer for Android, but I'm asking for beta iOS app store for Apple kind of mobile phone, how they install any application if they want. Okay, Palkin, others, Apple Store. Others is saying Apple Store. Yeah, I was looking for this kind of answer, beta. Very nice. So let's move forward about the explanation why I am talking about tablet and phone operating system. We are having one term, system on chip, basically SOC, system on chip. What is SOC? An operating system that comes pre-installed on a chip on a portable device such as smartphone. Okay, it is pre-installed. Let I am having any kind of mobile phone and it is having a small chip inside it, and it is also having a pre-installed operating system on it. Basically popular SOC operating systems are iOS, for iPad, iPhones, Android for variety of tablets and phones. So popular are iOS and Android nowadays, but earlier we all have used this kind of operating system, BlackBerry and so on. So downloadable application, we are having Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Next, the Apple created operating system for Apple tablet and phones. The current stable version iOS 14 was released to the public on September 16, 2022. So let's move forward. Yeah, you can see a small dummy picture of iOS operating system. So I was talking about this. The earliest version was released on September 16, 2020. Okay, so you all are familiar with this kind of screen. You have seen this screen on your iOS mobile phone and tablets. Next, we are having Android. I am talking about Android operating system. So many students are studying operating system, as well as some students are studying computer system and security. There is a small topic about the operating system differences. We are using nowadays Android, Windows, Linux and so on. There is a question, there is a part that what is the difference between all these kind of platform. So we have already learned about the operating system related to Mac, iOS and Microsoft Office or Microsoft operating system. Now I am moving forward the Android operating system. So Android operating system are basically a very popular operating system for smartphones and tablet. It is based on Linux kernel, okay, and developed by Google. Current versions, we are having so many updates over here. You can see from 1.5, 1.6, 2.01, 2.2, 2.3, 3.0, 4.0, and currently we have already used the updated versions of that: Android 10, Oreo, Pie, Nougat and Marshmallow, Lollipop, KitKat. We have already worked with all these kind of operating system in our mobile phone, and we have seen a little difference in updates in all kind of operating system. So here I have already told you about different kind of operating system, but my major focus is on Linux operating system. So next I am continue with the Linux operating system and its advantage. So first advantage, why I am talking about Linux that much more, because nowadays industries are working with Linux operating system at a very higher rate due to so many features and advantage of Linux operating system. So first we know that what kind of advantage we are having from Linux operating system, so that we can differentiate between this kind of main advantage we are having in Linux, and this is not in these are applications or work is not available in operating system as Microsoft operating system and other one. So first it is open source. What is open source? It is an open source operating system, Linux. Its source code is easily available. The open source meaning is that the source code of this kind of operating system is easily available. Anyone having any programming language can customize the operating system. One can contribute, modify, distribute and enhance the code for any purpose. Second advantage I am having as security. What kind of security Linux operating system provides? The Linux security feature is the main reason that it is the most favorable options for developers. It is not completely safe, but it is less vulnerable than other operating system, and Linux system do not require any kind of antivirus. This is the major security part of Linux, that it doesn't need any kind of antivirus program. It is that much secure. Next we are having third advantage, that it is free. What free? You all know the term free. Free is basically the biggest advantage of the Linux system is that it is free to use. We can easily download it and there is no need to buy the license for it. Comparatively, we have to pay a huge amount for the license of other operating system. So we have seen the three advantages of operating system. So let's move forward. Next we are having the stability. Linux is more stable than other operating system. Linux does not require to reboot the system to maintain performance level. It rarely hangs up or slow down. It has big uptimes. Means we are also working with the Windows. We have seen that it required so many times of rebooting the system. The system shows the pop-up that you have to reboot the system because it is having some kind of updates in it, and we just plug our system and just sleep. It takes hours and hours to update the system, and we are just waiting for completion of updation in Windows. But whenever we are talking about Linux has a very rare case that it require updates. It just automatically have in the update mode, and rarely it has hang up problem. Okay, so next we are having the more advantage of performance. Yeah, Tanvi, open source, free, secure, stable, very good. Okay, so you are writing all these points, Tanvi? Yes, Adarsh, yes, anyone can download easily. So performance, if I am talking about the performance of Linux operating system, Linux system provides high performance over different networks. It can capable of handling a large number of users simultaneously. So this is the another advantage of Linux operating system. Next we are having the flexibility. What we mean by the flexibility? Linux operating system is very flexible. It can be used for desktop application, embedded system and server application too. It also provides various restrictions option for specific computer. So this is also a part of flexibility under Linux operating system. Next we are having a software updates. In Linux, the software updates are in user control. We can select the required updates. There is a large number of systems updates are available. These updates are much faster than other operating systems, so the system updates can be installed easily without facing any issue. Next, another advantage we are having, graphical user interface. Linux, basically we also consider it as a command line based operating system, but it provides an interactive user interface like Windows. Okay, and another advantage is community support. What is community support? Linux provides larger community support. We can find support from various sources. There are many forms available on the web to assist users. Further, developers from the various open source communities are ready to help users. So these all are the basic and very important advantage of operating system. Last one I just want to include with the privacy part. Privacy is very important part for any kind of operating system. Linux always take care of user privacy as it never takes much private data from the user. Comparatively, other operating system asks for the user's private data. So it is all about the advantages of operating system. Let's move. If you have any query with this kind of advantages, please let me know. Anyone is having any query? Please students, feel free to ask any query regarding this. Then I will move forward. Akansha, Palkin, Devendra, Prakash, Rhythm, Avinav, Abhishek. Anyone? Okay, Adarsh. So let's continue with our next topic, operating system mode. So what we understand by operating system mode, basically you can see on screen there are two modes mentioned over here, user mode and kernel mode. So let's understand what is user mode, then we will talk about the kernel mode. The user mode is concerned with the actual interface between the user and the system. Means here the user and the system interaction is only having between this kind of systems. It also controls things like running application and accessing files. Whatever the part is in control with the user, you do inside the user mode. And if I talk about the kernel mode, the kernel mode is concerned with everything running in the background. So whatever the performance, whatever the request is coming from the user to the system, and how the system have to deal it, we will think about under the kernel mode. The kernel mode is concerned with everything running in the background. It controls things like accessing system resources, controlling hardware function, and processing programs instructions. Let's take an example. If user wants to copy and paste some kind of files in from one location to another location, user will give the command to the system that it wants to copy some data from a specific location and want to transfer this data to another folder. It will give command to the system. System will generate some kind of system calls and it will give to the kernel mode. Kernel mode will handle all the system calls and give response back to the user mode. Whenever the request is in under user mode, the mode bit is always 1. Whenever the problem or request is in under kernel mode, the mode bit is 0. So this is the mechanism which happen under the user mode and kernel mode. So the main role is played by here is system call. What is system call? We will learn about system call in our next slide. So let's continue with first the kernel. What is kernel? We should know. So kernel is nothing but the essential center of the operating system. It is the core that provides the basic services for all the other part of the operating system. We also call kernel as the heart of the operating system. So kernel is a software code that resides in center core of the operating system. It has some complete control over the system. Means whatever is happening with the operating system which is controlled by the kernel. Now when operation system boots, kernel is first part of the operating system to load in the memory. Kernel remains in main memory for entire duration of computer session. The kernel code is usually loaded to protect the area of the memory. Means it also provides the protection to memory. Okay. So next, if I talk about the performance management or memory management part, we have earlier learned about the operating system, how it perform memory management and file management. The main role was played by that kernel. We have seen the hardware is at center point and the application is at the outer point. Between the shell and kernel are working in a very good manner to handle all the tasks which is done by the operating system. So kernel includes some points which are scheduler and supervisor. It also works as supervisor and interrupt handler, memory manager. Interrupt handler and memory manager. All these 4 qualities of kernel we already seen in our operating system, but we doesn't discuss about the kernel. So what does scheduler do? It allocates the kernel processing time to various processes, and supervisor meaning it grants permission to use computer system resources to each process. Supervisor is nothing but the monitoring of the allocation of resources, all kind of files, devices and everything. The kernel will supervise at how they are working in a proper manner. If I talk about the interrupt handler, it handles all requests from the various hardware device which complete for kernel service. Last one we are having as a memory manager. What is memory manager? Kernel allocates space in memory for all the user of kernel services. So here we have seen what is kernel and what kind of components it is working with. Now we have left with the system call, but main point is kernel. With that, kernel provides services for process management, file management, IO management and memory management. These are all we have already learned about the functions of operating system in our previous video. So next, the types of kernel, we are having 2 types, monolithic and microlithic kernel. I have divided the difference between monolithic and microkernel in some criteria with features, which is definition, security, stability, basic, size and speed. So first, if I talk about the definition, so microkernel, it is a kernel type that implements an operating system by providing low level address space management, IPC, inter-process call and thread management. If I talk about the definition of monolithic kernel, it is a type of kernel in which the complete operating system runs at the kernel speed. Next parameter we are having as security. It is more secure than monolithic kernel. And if I talk about the monolithic kernel, it is less secure than microkernel. Next feature we are having as stability. So if I talk about the stability of microkernel and monolithic kernel, a single process failure does not affect other processes in microkernel. But if I talk about the monolithic kernel, if a service fails, the entire system will fail. Means here any single service will fail, then system will get crash. But here we are having a very good division inside the layers. So if one layer having any kind of issue, other layer will work in proper manner. Another, if I talk about the basic feature says that in microkernel, it implements kernel and user services in different address spaces. If I talk about the monolithic kernel, it implements both user and kernel services at the same address space. Means it is dealing with both user and the kernel. But if here in this part microkernel is only dealing with the user services in different address spaces. Last we are having size and speed. So size of microkernel is basically smaller, as you can see with the name, and if I talk about the size of monolithic kernel, it is bigger than the microkernel. And last one we are having as a speed. Speed is slower because it is having a smaller size and smaller component. So speed is very slower, but it is faster because it is having more component to deal with the process. So last one we are having the last topic as system call. So what is system call? You can see over here the source file to destination file. A file is moving from a location to another location. What is happening inside? The system call is representing only that what is happening inside if a file is moving from source file to destination file. Basically it's a small example of system call sequence. You can see over here. Before that, I just want to give you a small definition of system call. System call is a programmatic way in which a computer program, user application requests a service from kernel of operating system on which it is executed. Another, if I talk about the system call, application program is just a user processes. Due to security reason, user application are not given access to privileged resources. When they need to do any IO or have any more memory space, they have to wait for the interrupt signal. It requests operating system to facilitate all this. The request is made through system call. If I talk about that, my CPU is working with so many processes, and new system call, new process will come to this process system like P1, and it wants some kind of action to perform over the CPU. So it has to generate some kind of system call, like it wants a IO request, it wants some memory, or it wants a CPU time. Whatever the process is requiring to do with the CPU, it has to create some kind of system calls. If it is having some kind of higher priority, then it has to create a system called the priority interrupt. It will send an interrupt request to the CPU and will say that I am having the higher priority, the work you are doing is having the lower priority, then interrupt your work and just perform my task. So these kind of tasks is done by the system call. System calls are also called as a software interrupt. So this is all about the system call. So students, now next I am moving forward to binding up this session. I hope you have learned all these topics in a very finer way. If you have any query, please let me know in the chat box. If you have any query, you may ask to me. If you have any query, you can ask. Okay, so now this is the time of our quiz. So students, read the question and give your answer in chat box. Read the question and give the answer in chat box. Which of the following is not an example of the operating system for smartphone? It is not the example, beta. The yeah, Shantanu said something. Okay, Devendra, Avinav, try. I'm asking to others also. Just try with the questions. Yeah, question number beta C, and you are writing just A and C. You have to mention the question number also, no? That 1C, 2C, what you are writing. Gaurav, write your answer again. Windows 7, Windows Phone 7. No, you have. I just don't want to reveal the answer right now. Just think about it. Research on it. Okay. And for second one. Yes, Varun, Sajal, Sahil. Okay. Okay. So you all have given the answers. Next question, Piyush. Very nice. Next question on your screens. Okay. Questions are very easy. If you have learned this session, you know what these kind of operating system are. Question number 3 and 4. Yes, Gaurav, you are right. Which Sajal, Shadab, you are just writing B. Write your answer with the question number. Yes, Gaurav, you are right. All of you are agree with the fourth questions? Answer would be yes, right. Well done. So shall we move forward? Sanskar. Okay, Sanskar. Rohit, Avinav. Okay. Yeah, right answers. So next, these both questions are also having relation with my previous video. If you have joined my previous video, you can give answer in a very second time, and you can give a right answer. Yes, Gaurav, we can use this kind of operating system in our mobile phone. You can search about the latest version these kind of mobile phone. But right now, if I talk about the market ratio, we are already using with the Android and iOS, because in low cost we are having so many features in our smartphones. Question number 5th and 6th left, students. Give the right answers. Yeah, if you have seen my previous video, you definitely can give the right answer over here. Thank you, Deep. Thank you so much. Yes, students. Yes. 6B, correct. And 5th question. Yes, very nice. So students, this was all about this session. We have already learned about the classification and types. Today we have seen how the operating system works in a real life, whatever some operating system we are using in our mobile phone and laptop, but few we didn't know about any kind of information. So today you have seen a basic introduction of these kind of operating system and why we use it, and again you have learned about the kernel, the basic concept of an operating system. And this is all about the quiz. Thank you for today's session. If you have any query, you can write over here. Thank you so much for joining today's session.